let's just compare them briefly. It's half the resolution of the Apple Vision, but it has full VR gaming and augmented reality built in. It doesn't do the screen on the back, so you can't see the eyes, but honestly, that doesn't matter. And something we didn't even mention at all, which this just reminded me, there's no controller on the Apple one. Now, that sounds good and bad. It's good because that means it's all going to be gesture-based and it's less things to carry around. But it's bad because, again, if you're going to be using this not just for work or not just in your, I want to watch TV mode, but you actually want to have some fun or whatever. Sometimes a controller is just nice to have, especially for work, because a lot of people use artists. Like artists use the Quest to paint things in 3 dimensions. A controller's nice for that. You're not going to have that. So the Quest 3 does have that.
Yeah, so for gaming, you can sync, like they show the PlayStation, the Xbox, or the Switch controllers. So that's for gaming. And then for work, I would imagine, if I'm using my MacBook as the driving computer and then I'm just using the Vision essentially as a monitor, I would imagine my mouse and keyboard still function the same as well. And because it's AR, if I look down, I can see my hand on the mouse. I can see my hand on the keyboard just like normal. But then when I look up, I'm seeing this big display.
However, what you're missing is 3-dimensional control. So yes, you can use a PlayStation controller to control something on a 2-dimensional screen. But if I want to, move around my character in 3 dimensions with the controllers, and the controllers actually function in 3 dimensions as well. Again, think artists, like if they had like a paintbrush and they want to like paint something and they have something to hold, that's nice. Or even just 3D designers as well. That's nice to have. Well, then the truth is maybe Apple is gonna make a controller that comes out for it later. They just not yet.
No, I think they just believe strongly in whatever tracking system they've got going on with the hands, because that's clearly what they're going with is complete control with just your naked hands.
Yeah, but as a gamer, self-proclaimed, things that you can't do with just hand gestures, like obviously you can pick things up with just hand gestures in, that's cool, but you can't move forward in a 3-dimensional space. You can't, and stand still at the same time because, you're limited on the space of your living room. You can't jump. You can't access, maybe you can access a menu with a little flick of the wrist or something, but it's just all these things that it would be cool if Apple does still offer that. Again, if they want to tap into the gaming space, I think it's going to be necessary. I don't know if they do, though, because they haven't really cared about the gaming space much thus far, although
also
maybe.
All the things you're mentioning, a simple controller is a very easy, if it's something that people want, it's something easy that Apple can make, or a third-party company could just develop probably pretty easily. If they're opening it up to that.
Yeah, they would have to open up.
They already open it up to the PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox for those reasons. So I don't see why they wouldn't.
It would just have to be a controller that works via Bluetooth, but then it would have to give gyro information to it. So that would be different.
Yeah. So that would require an API that allows them to access that response.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's the thing, right? Is Apple is making something completely different in the kind of they really pitched it as this everyday item. It's something that you wear every day. You watch movies on it, you work with it, you take pictures of your kids with it. Whereas there's already a huge flood of products, not just Meta, but the Hive and other products that are designed for gaming, and they're really good. And so maybe that's Apple's kind of, they're like, look, we're not going to be able to keep up with these guys in terms of developing new technology for gaming, and we don't care because we don't care about gaming. We care about mass market, so they're just making a mass appeal product with a $3,500 product.
Yeah, but I still don't fully agree with that sentiment, only because the Quest also has full hand tracking, and it also has augmented reality. So it does everything the Apple does, and it does significantly more. The only true difference is that the Apple One works fully integrated with the Apple system. I mean, that is the truth of it, right? So it's if you want to
double resolution,
sure, yeah, but I mean, double the price of the Meta Quest for double the resolution, and you still don't touch. No, the Quest 3 is
1080.
The Quest 3 is 2K, and the Quest 3 is $500. So if you double that, it's 1,000. So even still, you're less than a third of the price, and it does everything that Apple does. It just doesn't have your Apple Photos, and it doesn't have these maybe specific fancinesses to it. The niceties of Apple, which is the things I love. I love my Apple Watch. The niceties of things. I think it's just an interesting product. It's not for it's for the rich enthusiasts. We already know this.
And again, just like we mentioned before, this is the first step in their, maybe 10-year journey of getting to that point where it's in a Ray-Ban sunglasses style, and it can truly be, a $900 consumer product at that point, And they did call it the Vision Pro. So that does leave room for the Apple Vision without the Pro at the end for the cheaper, more consumer product. And I think it's, what are you going to do, right? It's like Apple's got this great thing they've been developing for many years. It's the highest quality they can pack into it. They've got all this crazy stuff with spatial audio, with, augmented reality, with LiDAR sensors, with a screen on front that puts people's eyes on the front. All this other, there's literally a Mac M2 chip inside of it. We didn't even mention that.
It's true.
That's very powerful chip. That's,
it's got a dual chip system because it also has that R1 chip, which is brand new to anything to do with the Vision. So yeah, it's a dual chip system.
So that means the potential of the product is, untapped in terms of these little apps that they showed are very basic. Like, who knows what other developers are going to design,
I guess,
with these chips in it.
I guess I am being a little harsh because you're right. If I think of it, again, the price is too much. But if I think of it like this is Apple iPhone when it was announced, and the apps we had were phone, Messenger, internet, stocks. It's like, that's it. Whatever, 5-10 apps. And then now look what you can do with it. Especially when people get their hands on it, you're right. It's hopefully going to be an explosion in a new way. When Apple finally gets their hands on something, that's usually when it goes bananas. So we'll see. I'm really curious to see how it sells. I mean, the price is so high that I wonder if it's going to sell well. I mean, because I feel like I'm the kind of guy that will drop an unnecessary amount of money on Apple products, but I'm not even going to consider it. So it's very curious. And I do think a lot of people are going to do the buy it for 14 days and return it just to test it.
Sure.
So I'm curious how well it's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even mention there's eye tracking as well. So if you're selecting something, it's got, high performance eye tracking system of LEDs and infrared cameras that project invisible light patterns onto each eye. So there's a lot of there's a lot of expensive things crammed into it, so
True.
That's why it's expensive. I mean, it's got a Mac chip in it, an M2 chip.
Yeah.
So, we'll just have to see, right?
It costs more than my MacBook Pro, so it better.
And it's, it is Apple, so they've got their whole privacy system as well. They're not interested in selling your data to advertisers. That's one thing too. When you're talking about Meta, you are giving up your privacy because you have to sign up for Facebook and you have to, sign your life away to their whole ad system. So it'll be really interesting, and it's something we're going to continue to talk about. And we'd love for you guys to ask us any questions or comments that you have about it down below, because this is very exciting. And I think, again, objectively, this is something that only comes every once in a while. The last time we got a new product from Apple was technically the AirPods. But if you want to go a little bigger than that, although the AirPods are very successful, the Apple Watch was kind of the last, new tech product.
Especially when it comes to operating system. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I mean, AirPods are technically kind of, they were revolutionary in their own right. But I think the Apple Watch is the closest kind of comparison in terms of a full new operating system, a whole new product. And then obviously before that would have been iPad and then iPhone. So this doesn't come around that often for Apple. And you could tell on I almost said Steve Jobs' face, but on Tim Cook's face when he said, "We got one more thing left." Like, he was really pumped. So obviously, all the Apple people who work there are very excited. This is something they've been keeping a secret for like 5 years now. So it's interesting to see it. I do think it will probably, mess up the market a little bit, as Apple usually does. We'll probably start to see a lot of these headsets turn into external battery headsets all of a sudden, because they're like, oh, Apple did it, we can do it too. So, and obviously $3,500 is a ton of money. So, even though I'd like to probably buy one and test it, I don't know if I can justify spending that kind of money on essentially an entertainment device, because I don't imagine it being that practical when it comes to work for me. I think my head would probably get tired of it after, 30 minutes to 45 minutes at a time. And I don't think I could just wear goggles all day, every day while editing. It's just not a practical solution yet.
If you've ever gone skiing and you've wore ski goggles, that is kind of what it feels like, I imagine, based on my experience with other headsets and just that. And, even if they're lightweight, it's pressure on the front and back of your head. You will feel it after a while. When you take it off, you will look like a raccoon. It's... if the battery only lasts 2 hours, that might be all you can handle anyways. It's interesting. I'm very excited for the future of this tech now that Apple's in it. It's extra exciting. I just think that, like you said, we're 10 years away from this being truly something incredible, a true wearable.
Yeah, exactly.